All right, and we are live in our
Yes,
home
here we
studio.
are. Yes, recording from home because,
Oh yeah,
that's what you need to do these days.
yeah. So
Yeah.
last episode we talked about the Tiger King, which
Rawr.
the yeah, all you cool cats and kittens,
Ugh.
and
Ugh.
yeah, it was number one trending on Netflix for a couple of weeks there. It's like number 3 now, so it did jump down a little bit, but hey, it's one of those things getting old. It died out pretty fast. It's probably gonna
Yeah.
everybody's gonna go to the Tiger King this Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Either that or a plague
A plague
doctor.
doctor. I'm gonna go as a mix of
Yes.
Joe Exotic and a plague doctor.
That's terrifying. Send me a picture immediately because that sounds like a great Halloween costume.
Just do all the trends.
Boy.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So there's mature content. So please just keep that in mind if you do choose to watch it. And as we're gonna touch up on some of these subjects a little bit in the podcast too, we're gonna try and keep it as family friendly and not as graphic as we can.
Correct.
So-
That's a good way of putting it.
But we'll try our best. So, last episode we talked about the establishment, basically, between Joe Exotic and Carol.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yep.
basically, they both have a tiger zoo. Carol is a little bit more on the side of where she saves tigers from abused homes, basically, and keeps them in a cage, and then people come in and visit her tigers. Whereas Joe Exotic raises them when they're kittens and then turns them into the thing. But Carol claims to be a animal activist person and attacks Joe because of the way he treats tigers, and they just constantly just attack each other, and it's just basically a contest of
It's kind of hypocritical,
Yeah, it's-
honestly, because Carol repeatedly throughout the show says Joe is keeping all of these tigers and big cats and animals in cages and it's wrong. And then she goes and she does the exact same thing herself, which I find is just really interesting. Sure, she rescues them, but we never actually see her kind of release the animals into the wild and stuff. So I thought that was like really kind of hypocritical on her part.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point of like a lot of the guys on the show too, because it's even the people that worked for Joe, even though a lot of them admitted that they don't like Joe, that's kind of their same point, is they're just like, she's doing the exact same thing that we are doing and attacking us, but she claims that she's an animal activist as well.
Yeah, it's everyone in this show is a hypocrite and should be in jail. Literally everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone on this show has committed at least one crime, at the very least.
Well, some of them are ex convicts. Like the one dude, I can't remember the dude's name, but the one dude admitted that he was like an ex convict, came out of jail. But he said he said that ever since, he's stayed out of trouble and he's been clean and stuff ever since. I would believe that. Like, I'm not gonna say that, oh yeah, that guy's such a bad person, or has committed crime since he's been out. That's not right of me to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, let's jump right into it.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
basically, what happens is, for years, Carol and Joe are attacking each other on social media and all of these other platforms, like back when Facebook was starting to get really, really big. And Joe would go live and just stream an episode of like his show or something.
Yeah, you had the
for
Joe
maybe
Exotic
2 or 3
TV
hours
or
a
something
night.
like that.
Yes. And he would just basically rant about how much he hates Carol Baskin, how much he hates PETA. And it gets to the point where Joe is finally sued by Carol Baskin, and I believe PETA as well. Mm-hmm. And he loses this lawsuit.
Well, it's
right, and he owes.
Well, the reason
Go
why he gets sued is he started doing a show where he was touring around the mall, like different malls and stuff like that, and doing like a live show, and he basically stole the logo of the Big Cat Rescue. He basically stole their logo and stole parts from their website and put it into his traveling show that he did, and that's
Allegedly.
That's allegedly. Which, yeah, when you see the pictures, they do match up and they're pretty similar, but
right.
That's why he got
There's
sued.
just no way of knowing.
Yeah, but that's why they got sued in the beginning. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what if he did, because he was pretty petty from the whole thing, and that would be a thing that he was doing just to get back at her. So it wouldn't really surprise me at all. But that's why he got sued in the first place.
Yep, and so he unsurprisingly lost this lawsuit because, you know, it's Carol Baskin, and she's got a really good way with words of like toying with them, and she
more money.
she wins this, right? Yeah, she wins this lawsuit, and Joe, obviously he's got money, but he doesn't have enough to like pay it off. So Carol then goes for his assets, like the stuff that's like in his name and stuff.
Yeah.
And so just to be petty, he goes and he literally just blows a bunch of his stuff up so that they can't have it. Like, he literally just like smokes a bunch of meth, goes in his backyard, and then just blows up a bunch of this stuff. Literally with like shotguns and C4 and everything. Like he just, it shows him going into gun shops and saying, yeah, I'll take this ammo, some C4 right there. Yep, take all of it, full wholesale.
Well,
and he just goes in his backyard and blows a bunch of his stuff up so that Carol can't have it.
One of the things
it was ridiculous.
One of the things that I liked about it is in the interviews that showed him talking, and he's like, I don't even own any of this stuff. He's like, that trailer over there is John's, and that truck over there is whoever's. He's like, I don't own any of this stuff. They can't take it, which is technically right. But
right.
I thought that was hilarious because it's like, dude, this dude's taking advantage of everybody and has a bunch of stuff that's not even his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really ironic. I had a really good laugh about that. So then after that, basically tensions are just really high after that between the two. Like, Joe hates Carol even more, so much to the fact that he wants to literally murder her. Yeah, rallies and stuff won't do it anymore.
And apparently he's like done death threat, and I think that he's done the death threat thing beforehand, where he's always like, "Oh, I'm gonna go kill her," but I think like at that point, that's when it became more intense, where he constantly talked about it. And the thing is, like, everybody always shrugged it off as a joke. Like, the dude would always talk about killing Carol Baskins, and they always thought it was a joke. They're just like, he's just, it's just one of those guys.
That's just Joe.
Yeah, it's just like
that's just Joe.
It's just like how people talk. If you hit on like somebody's wife or something, the husband's always like, you talk to my wife, you talk to my wife again, I'm gonna kill you. It's like one of those like loose threat kind of things, and that's how people always treat it. It was just kind of like a loose threat.
Yeah, and the authorities couldn't really do anything unless he actually solicited somebody's services, like actually gave them money up front, saying, this is for this specific act. I trust that you're going to go and do it. Yeah,
and then he was doing his whole thing where he's like accusing her of feeding her husband to the tiger and like all that other and all that other stuff. Like, it just started jumping to that extreme. And one of the things that I found kind of unique about it, and I'm going to jump back to where we're talking about the payment thing, is there's one point where they're talking to the hitman that he supposedly hired. And the hitman claims to have gotten some sort of payment for it.
Yes.
And one of the things that, they had talked about is that the authorities can't really do anything about it unless there was like a transaction of money. And while I was watching a video the other day, and it was a video of a scammer, just like an IRS scammer that calls people up and tries to take their money. Well, there's these people that were trying to mess with the scammer and, waste his time, basically, as people do because they think it's funny. They were able to get this guy's bank information, like from a real bank account, from a credit union or something like that. And so they were able to basically, take it to the police from there, and they're like, yeah, we have proof that he has an actual bank account, that this is what he uses to scam people's money. And that's exactly what the cops told them, and they have it on a recording, but the cops basically told them that, like, it's not a crime until an act of crime was committed. Therefore, they're saying that, like, I can talk about taking your money, I can tell you to give me all the money you want, and I could say that I'm going to do this or that with it, but until you hand me the money, it's not a crime. So
Right. It's all about those technicalities.
yeah.
Those drive me crazy.
So they said they can't arrest this guy who they got his name, they got all of his information, basically everything about this guy, but the cops couldn't do anything about it because there was actually no transaction of money, and there was no, like, even though like there was a lot of evidence that clearly shows it's a scam, they didn't give him any money, so no crime was committed.
Right.
And so that
pretty sneaky.
Yeah, so that kind of is like similar to that instance with the whole bodyguard thing or the hitman thing, where it's like, well, no money was given, so it's all just it's not a crime because no money was handed or there's no transaction of money.
Right. Yes, and even before this, Joe, as a matter of fact, tried to run for governor of Oklahoma. And while all this was happening, this was all happening like for years, where he just talked about it. And then as he was running for governor,
president first.
He ran for president
first.
He ran
against Donald Trump.
Yes, he did. And I vaguely remember actually listening to an interview of him in the news. Like, I was maybe 14 or 15, and I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is crazy. We can't have him as president. And then that was it. Like, I never heard anything of him again.
It's like, man, how did Trump beat this guy, right?
Yeah, no kidding. How did he even make it into the race?
I know.
Oklahoma has no standards. That's what it is.
So then he lost the president race and was like, well, maybe I can't be president, so I'm gonna run for governor.
He just keeps on pressing.
Yeah, and he did get, like, I think 18% of the votes it showed at the end.
He got a lot.
Which is
it was kind of alarming.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you lost, but like 18% is still a pretty good majority. Like, that's a pretty good population of vote right there.
Yep. It was really alarming how many people actually wanted him as governor. Like,
yeah.
I was kind of like, all right, 18% of Oklahoma is populated by morons.
Oh, that was all his campaign manager right there.
Yeah, his campaign manager was kind of a strange dude. Trevor, why don't you tell us more about his campaign manager?
So the campaign manager, and again, I can't remember his name. Sorry, but basically his campaign manager, and they did an after interview with everybody too. And one of the ones that they did an after interview was the campaign manager. And one of the things that he said that, I guess I kind of agreed with him and seen his side of it, but he said that he was never going to get an opportunity to do a campaign where he's basically coming up with all of the political views of the person he's campaigning, and he also liked all the exotic animals like everybody else and that kind of thing, but also was just like, the dude had almost 100% control of how the campaign went, because Joe Exotic was just like, I don't know anything about politics really, so you do all the political policy stuff for me. I'm just gonna be Joe Exotic and
do whatever.
do what Joe Exotic does.
Yeah. And what's ironic is his campaign manager is like extremely libertarian, and for those of you who don't know, that's like super anti-government.
Yeah.
Like, this dude repeatedly said, like, F the feds, and, like, I hate the government. Why? I just found it as kind of an ironic thing that an anti-government dude is trying to get someone into the government. I just thought, man, I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah.
That show's bonkers, guys. Go watch it, please.
Yeah,
like,
there's so much.
Everything will make sense. We're not talking gibberish right now. This is real life right here. This is actually happening.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the show, it might be kind of hard for you to understand where we're going, because we have been bouncing around a lot. There's just so much crazy stuff that goes on where it's hard to really sum it all up. I mean, if we wanted to, we could break apart probably every single episode and have a series going for like 2 months of just the Tiger King, because there's just so much in it.
There is. But we're going to try and do our best to cover as much as possible.
Yeah. And I did look into it a little bit, and like a lot of the stuff is public information too, which is kind of cool if you know where to look and find the right spots.
Right.
A lot of this is public information that he did run, and he has a lot of campaign videos, and you can even find stuff on YouTube of other people who have recorded him in public or have their stories of him and stuff like that. So there is a lot of stuff out there that's like, aside from the show, there's a lot of just other stuff that went on from other people's perspectives. I've just met him in the past and stuff like that who have stories.
Go to Joe Exotic's Wikipedia page. Oh my goodness, you will not be disappointed. That is top level entertainment right there. Yeah. And bear in mind, guys, also while this was happening, as he was running for governor, after his presidential race obviously tanked, he had Jeff Lowe working with him to help him with the zoo and all that jazz. And Joe was repeatedly going behind Jeff Lowe's back and like using his money for random things in his campaign and for the zoo that didn't really need to be done. And so he was committing fraud, he was committing embezzlement, he was doing money laundering, he was doing all this illegal stuff that goes along with money and all that. And so Jeff Lowe finally got wind of it, and he confronted Joe, and it's caught on video too. Someone filmed it, like the camera crew wasn't there, but just someone on their iPhone recorded it from the office.
Yeah.
And Joe was like, well, I'm caught. That's it.
Yeah, it's basically it was like Jeff Lowe had money, or acts like he has money.
Yes.
And Joe Exotic, basically brought this Jeff Lowe guy in to help countersue Carol Baskins, basically. But one of the things that he was doing is during this time when he was running for governor as well, he was basically using Jeff Lowe's money to fund his campaign.
Yes. Which is super illegal.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Well, it's not illegal that he was using his money. It was illegal that he was basically forging documents that signed money over to him that Jeff Lowe didn't approve of. That's where it's illegal.
Mm-hmm. That's that's fraud. That's fraud.
Yeah, so he's doing that as
very
fraud.
illegal. Yeah. And so Jeff Lowe got in his face.
Yep.
Like very much so.
Yeah.
And said, "All right, you need to leave. Like this zoo is mine now. Everything that you own is mine. All that you own is the tigers."
Yeah.
And that's it. And so you know what Joe did? Joe took all the tigers, all of the big cats, he packed everything up, and one night sold everything and went off the grid completely. Just disappeared.
Joe is not very smart. In a sense, and one of the things that Jeff Lowe did when he came in is, being a very good talker as part of it too. But one of the things he did is, because he wanted to help sue Carol, is Jeff Lowe basically convinced Joe to sign over the zoo and everything that Joe owned over to Jeff Lowe. So basically, at that point, Jeff Lowe owned the zoo and everything there. So he legally...
And he still does.
Yeah,
to this day.
He still does to this day. So he legally... Joe worked for Jeff at that point.
Yep. And Joe completely disappeared. And then finally, the feds caught up with Joe. They figured out his scheme to hire someone to kill Carol. They figured out all of his money stuff, and they finally they found him. And you know what? Right now he's sitting in prison.
He is in jail.
He's got 22 years. He got his final sentence actually in January, right before the show came out. But another thing that's really interesting that I read in the news a few days ago is he actually has the coronavirus right now. Joe Exotic has the coronavirus in jail.
Yeah, his roommate actually got it first.
Yep.
And so they put Joe Exotic in a quarantine away from his roommate, which obviously it didn't help, so he must have it now. Because he was, one of the things he was saying is that he went to the court and he asked the judge if he could have access to a computer, and like so he could reach out to his fans and stuff like that.
Yes. And obviously, we would have heard about it by now. But right now, everyone that has been interviewed in this after show is saying that he's going to die in jail. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to be, like, beaten in there or something. Like, everyone is saying no. There's no way he's going to make it out of jail.
Yeah, it's so crazy how everybody turned against him, too. Because, like,
Yeah.
when you first start out the series, like, you don't really hear anybody say anything bad about him, per se. Like, everybody
Right,
was
but you
kind
don't
of
hear anyone say
friendly with
anything
him.
inherently good about
Yeah,
him either.
but
Like,
then-
nobody just really thinks about his actions or his attitude. Like, the first 4 episodes, I'd say.
Yeah, and then, like, when they start interviewing people asking if, like, he belongs in jail and this and that, like, they all say, absolutely, and we're glad he's in jail, and a lot of them are just like, yep, I hope I never see him again. Which
Yeah,
is just crazy, because it's like,
crazy.
these were all the people that were closest to him as well. And, I think someone even asked him, like, oh, would you have turned Joe in or something like that? And he was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, well, or he's like, would you testify against Joe if they asked you to? And he said, absolutely, 100% I would.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the dude's got basically no friends that worked with him, and these were all the people that were also
he
closest
manipulated
to him.
everybody with his animals and his money and his drugs and
Yeah,
all that.
this is insane.
Yeah, it's a total manipulator. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
Another little thing about him is 4 months after his son, no, not his son, his husband shot himself, he got remarried immediately. And you know what he did? He invited his deceased husband's mother to the wedding. Which, I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys listening, but that is next level bullcrap. Okay? Like, that is one of the most offensive things you can ever do. Alright? It's like next level horrible. Right? Like, you just take you go to your, like, mother-in-law, per se, and, like, might as well have just spat on the kid's grave. That would have been 1,000 times nicer. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's a character for sure. That's all I can say. He's just a character.
Yeah. There's not much you can do about it now.
Yeah. What'd you think about like the last episode where they called up everybody and like asked them what they're doing now with their lives?
I thought that was actually really interesting. You know, it's good to have I guess clearance or a clear mind on like everything that went on, like ask people the unbiased opinions without the camera crew that's going to edit every single conversation, see what they actually thought. And there were actually a lot of like different opinions. Like, okay, first of all, his husband with like the no teeth, who always wore no shirt. He was asked like, are you pretty straight? And he was like, yeah, I'm pretty straight. And also he got dental implants, so now he has all of his teeth. And there are actually a lot of people who like had no teeth, and then like they were showing them, and they had like dental implants.
Yeah, and he looked great.
He did. He looked a lot better.
Yeah.
Like a much clearer head, I'd say.
Yeah.
He had glasses. He had real teeth in.
He just looked a lot happier too.
He did. He spoke in clear sentences too, and he had a shirt on. Thank the Lord, because it was kind of hard to like take his interview seriously while he's just sitting there all tatted up with no teeth, shirtless.
He made it clear that I like that he made it clear when they were filming that he was sober for like 5 years or something like that. When they started filming that, he's like, I wasn't even on drugs and that was going on. You guys made me look like a redneck meth-headed hillbilly.
Oh my gosh, the producers really did twist a lot of the things from the show.
That's how
even like Jeff Lowe's stuff, like the stuff that Jeff Lowe said on his account, like none of that happened. I never said that. You guys took that. They took that out of context. all of that. And Jeff Lowe was really twisted. Jeff Farley, his husband, was really twisted. But everyone else after that was just eh.
Yeah. I like that some of the obvious interviews in there, like Carol Baskin, like she never had like an after interview, and
Yes.
I imagine it's just because it made her look like she was kind of an evil person and a bad
Right,
guy.
and she obviously would have spoken out about it too.
Yeah.
She would have said, "That was so wrong. You got that so wrong. That's totally inaccurate."
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see if they even contacted her or not, or if
I'll bet they didn't.
I would bet that they didn't as well, because I feel like she probably would have been ticked, and she would be like, "You guys made it look like I fed my husband to the tigers," and I didn't. I have
Which she totally did. She totally did, though.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, come on.
And then they also didn't
yeah.
interview that big burly guy. I can't remember his name. The jet ski guy.
Yeah, that's right. They never.
Yeah.
I don't know his name either. I can't remember it. But
Yeah.
names aren't even important in this show, except for Joe Exotic. It's really just based on what the people look like.
I think you mean.
Right? I know that sounds kind of harsh, but watch the show and you'll understand.
I think you mean Joe Maldonado Passage. That's what his name is now.
That's his name?
Yeah, because he got married again and then changed his name.
Oh,
when he got married to the other guy.
Yep. Now I remember. And his husband that he has right now, currently as we speak, he looked maybe 19 years old. Like, he's super young.
I think they did.
He's
say
got
he
this
was 19.
sports car. Yeah, and you know what Jeff does is he calls him 3 times a day for like hours on end. So he basically just talks to his man all day and just cries all the time because he doesn't want to admit that he messed up. He blames it all on Carol. And his husband's like, "Oh, yep, it's all Carol. I love you. Yeah, it's all Carol."
Which is funny. Which is funny because then when it goes over to Carol, she blames everything on Joe. So it's like they just blame each other for everything that happens in their life. They just blame each other. They're just like, "Oh, this tree fell over in my backyard. It's Joe's fault.
I blame Carol freaking Baskin."
He's like, "Oh, dang it." He's like, I stepped in tiger poop. It's probably Carol Baskin's fault."
Yeah. But man, I don't think we'll ever actually know.
No,
we will never know like what actually went down between the two, like who was actually in the right.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, thanks to the show. Even though it creates a lot of drama and a really good story, I'm not a big fan of the fact that they really altered interviews and people's opinion to really kind of make it interesting.
Yeah.
That's like a no-go.
That's just, though, how documentaries and like reality television goes. I mean,
yeah.
When I went to school and I took some film and television classes, one of the things that we learned about reality television shows, and there's YouTube videos on stuff that says this as well, but when you go into a reality show, a lot of times is they'll have a contract for you to sign that basically says, like, with you signing this, you give us permission to make us look however we want you to. And basically, like, if you say anything or work around our tricks, like, we can sue you for a lot of money. Because I can't remember what show it was, but I think it might have been like The Bachelor or something like that, where one of the guys said that he was in love with the girl, and so it made it sound like he said in the show, but then he actually said, like, I couldn't see myself being in love with the girl or something like that. And like, there's clips of him saying the full thing basically, but it's what they do. They edit it out to make it look interesting.
Right, and that, my friends, is always why you read the terms and conditions before you sign.
Yes.
And before you say, "I agree."
Yeah.
Even though I know that it's a really long page, and it'll probably take you 5 minutes to read all of it. That's a good 5 minutes right there. Like,
yeah.
It's worth it. Trust me.
And a lot of this footage, though, like, there's a documentary crew that was in there and like filming stuff while all the Joe Exotic stuff was happening. But then there was like just the fact that Joe Exotic basically was filming everything all the time. One of the things that I looked up recently is because I was like, how did they get so much footage? And Joe Exotic, and I don't know if I said this in the last episode or not, but I might have, but Joe Exotic basically sold, at the end of the thing, they show his computer where he stored all of the computers of all videos and information and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Joe sold all of those rights and all of that footage to a separate company while he was in jail.
Yeah.
Because basically he says that he has dirt on everybody and he thinks that somebody's going to take it and help him prove that everybody else is innocent because he wants people in jail with him, basically. But
he doesn't want to admit guilt.
Yeah, so he has all these computers and files, so that's how they were able to get the text messages, a lot of the footage, some of the journal writings and stuff like they had. So all the footage that they had was legit footage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
like unaltered.
Yeah.
Like if there's a gun being shot or an explosion being made, it's real.
Right, and that I guess is the cool part about it too is that they did alter a lot of footage. I'm sure they had hundreds of hours of footage, but it was all genuine, real footage that they took while they were there, or Joe had somebody take in the course of 15 years.
Yeah, this is true. Guys, it really is just a crazy show. Like, I really recommend that you go watch it. It probably will be on Netflix for a while, and especially like with this time that you have in quarantine.
Yeah.
You've got extra time. I wouldn't recommend that this is how you spend all of your time. If you have free time, definitely get out there, ride your bike, or read a book, or sit in the sun, something like that. That's just my PSA for this episode.
PSA.
But yeah, that's the Tiger King.
Yeah, and look up some of his music. I mean, he's a great
Okay, here's the
singer.
thing about his music, though. It is extremely fake. Like, it is not him singing. He hired country singers to sing it for him. He wrote it. Oh yeah, he wrote these songs all himself. But not a single one is sung by him.
I'm glad
he just dubs it. He doesn't even play the guitar in the videos.
I'm glad
it
that
is so
they had him clear that up.
unbefreakingly believable fake.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm glad that they had John, what's his name? John Finley or whatever.
His husband? Yeah.
I'm glad that they had him clear that up. He was
Oh
like,
my
it's all
gosh,
fake.
I was kind of like, hold on. Like, I was listening to his music. Like, I think he even has some stuff on Spotify.
Yeah.
Like, I was just sitting there and I was listening to this. I was like, there is no way that is a gay Oklahoma meth head right there.
Well, especially
like,
when
there is no way.
Especially when you just listen to him talk, like everything else.
Yeah,
It's just
this
like,
is
this
how
is
he
not,
talks.
there's no way.
He has this kind of drawl in his voice, and it's really high. And for some reason, every time I listen to the voice, I could just see his eyebrow ring almost fall out.
And oh my gosh, guys, his
great.
eyebrow ring.
It's great.
It feels like just a little tug on that thing, and his face is gonna fall apart.
Oh, it's so
Like,
great.
it's unbelievable. Oh man! And then there's the interview in the bathtub, which was totally
we talked
bonkers.
about last one. It's just that's
Yep.
the best part.
Yeah, no
Maybe-
kidding. That
I'll
was
see if I can
probably
find
my
a
favorite
thumbnail.
part of the show.
We'll see if I can find a thumbnail for that one for this episode.
That would be a great thumbnail. I mean, shoot. Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I think that's
That's
we're running a little bit high on time.
it's all right. We're whatever.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Oh man,
But yeah, if you haven't yet, go watch the Tiger King. Words
For sure.
cannot put it into justice about how just interesting this documentary is, but also just entertaining. Like, it is just so
no kidding.
so crazy. It's a limited series on Netflix, whatever that means. So I don't
Yep.
know how long it's going to be up there for, but I guess
Probably not long. They'll
Yeah,
probably take it down
I-
once quarantine ends.
yeah. So I'm assuming that it means it's going to come down soonish.
Yes.
I don't, like I said, I don't know how long it might be, but go watch it if you haven't.
Yep.
It's
Once
pretty-
again, it's for older people.
Yeah,
It's not exactly for kids.
Yes, it's mature rated, so you know
We're not condoning any of the behavior
Yeah.
that's
If
in this
anything,
thing.
it might teach you a lesson of why you shouldn't be an idiot.
do meth or anything. Like never pet a tiger. That's the lesson. Never pet a tiger.
Yeah.
But once again, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
Subscribe
Yes,
to us
we are
on
up
YouTube.
on YouTube. We've got a limited edition of... Not a limited edition. What am I saying? My mouth doesn't work, man.
It's because it's a limited edition Tiger King.
Right. We've got just a few of our episodes up on YouTube, but we're gradually getting them up there. We post a little bit
Yeah.
on Facebook.
I'll give a limited edition T-shirt for the first.
You know what?
For the
I
first person
regret
that asked me for
talking.
one.
You know what? Sure. Why not?
Yeah. If you message me and you ask me for a limited edition T-shirt, you're the first one to ask me. I'll send you some sort of T-shirt that says "Dudes in Film" on it.
How about I just message you right after
then
this?
I'll send you the T-shirt.
Yay! I beat you guys already. If you're already listening to this. Oh boy. But yeah, on Facebook we are Dudes in Film. On Instagram we are Dudes in Film Official, and on Twitter we are @DudesFilm.
Yeah.
We'll be posting a new episode probably once every week, if not probably every 10 days to every other week.
Yeah, it'll be
Our schedules don't align. I
Yeah.
work totally different shifts every single day,
yeah.
and it's kind of difficult for us to find a time where we can record. But
gonna try
either
and do
way, we
every
really
week.
enjoy doing this.
We're
Yeah,
gonna try
we really enjoy
every week,
doing
if not
this.
every other week. But we do enjoy doing this, and we thank
Yes.
everybody for your support so far, who's been listening. All 15 of you.
Yes,
And,
indeed. You guys are the real ones.
Yeah, you guys are the real ones. And when we're famous one day, we'll be able to
Which
be
will
like,
happen.
We'll be able to be like, yeah, you guys are the truest.
You guys helped us out. Yes. And just real quick, I just want to say, amidst this trying time, quick little PSA part 2. Like, thank you to our essential workers, especially that
Yeah.
are keeping this going, like our first responders and our police officers, and even it's kind of far fetched, but even like our restaurant workers, they're keeping our police officers and our ambulance drivers fed and all that. And
Now
I'm
you're
not
just
giving
trying to pat
myself.
yourself on the back.
I kind of am patting myself on the back because I work at McDonald's, but I mean, I'm essential. But seriously though, especially if you guys know a first responder like a doctor or a nurse or a police officer, go give them a pat on the back. Go
Yeah.
give them a hug. Tell them you appreciate
Or
them.
better, ask them what you can do to help them if they need you to
Indeed.
donate a mask or
Indeed.
something like that.
Yes. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Don't be gross. Stop the spread.
Keep off the grass.
That way we can. Yes, that way, that way we can all get out. We don't have to protest anymore, and we can all just see each other without being afraid.
And we can
of
all
it.
stand 6 feet apart and sing "Kumbaya."
Yes, indeed. I am looking forward to that.
We can't hold hands and sing it.
Oh yeah, we'll have to just kind of look at each other and be like, yeah, yeah.
Thanks for listening,
Thanks for listening, guys. Peace out.
Girl Scout.